Minister, what supports have you put in place to deal with the consistent delays in processing applications for additional needs payments, and the actions you've taken to ensure that persons who require the payment to pay for a deposit or first month's rent are not missing out on possible house rentals?
Thank you, Deputy, for raising this matter. The Community Welfare Service is committed to providing a quality service to all citizens, ensuring that applications are processed and that decisions on entitlement are made quickly. There are no backlogs at present, and work on hand is within the scheme's normal processing levels. Completed applications are mostly finalised within 2 weeks, and there is less than 2 weeks' work in process currently. It is important to note that where it is clear that a person has an urgent or immediate need, every effort is made to ensure that the claim is processed on the same day. Community welfare officers are very experienced and can generally assess when a case is so urgent that it requires an immediate response. Approximately 10% of community welfare service payments to customers across the country are made on this basis, which shows just how responsive the service is to urgent customer need. Where an application cannot be finalised promptly, the delay is normally due to additional information or documentation being requested from the person to support their application and the length of time that it takes for the information to be provided. This can result in longer processing times for these applications, as greater flexibility is given to clients with extended time to respond. Upon receipt of this information, the application is then processed quickly. I would appreciate if the Deputy would let me know of any persons who are having difficulty in accessing support for a deposit or first month's rent. A lot of effort and resources has been applied to Community Welfare Service over the past few months to ensure that it is responsive and available, and an available service for people. And I trust this clarifies the matter. Thanks.
Thank you, Minister. Well, the additional needs payment applications for assistance with deposits and rents are now being dealt with in the centralised office in Dublin. And in my experience, what I'm hearing on the ground is the applications are taking weeks, if not months, to be processed. Now, I've been contacted by a tenancy sustainment and support officer, and they are working with people who are in danger of becoming homeless, or are homeless in some cases, and they're referred by the local authority to this person. So this person is helping them to, get viewings of properties. Most of the people are on social welfare. They don't have the means to save for the deposit and the first month's rent. Cavan County Council doesn't operate a homeless HAP system, so they have no other option but to apply for the additional needs payment to cover these costs. Now, it's resulting in a catch-22 situation, because if they get a viewing of a property, which is very difficult in the current climate, they're unable to afford the deposit and first month's rent. There's no assistance available. They apply for the additional needs payment. It's taking too long, and the landlord gives the property to someone who has money readily available, and they miss out. And this is happening on a constant basis. So, something needs to be done to address it, because we have a homeless crisis as it is, but it's just going to get worse. And I'm talking here about Cavan. I'm not talking about a city or a large urban centre. I'm talking about in Cavan.
As I said, if an application is made and they have provided all the information, the answer is provided within 2 weeks. Now, there are going to be cases sometimes where they haven't provided all the information, and it does take longer. So, if you want to give me the specific case, I'm happy to to have it looked into, because specific cases is what I need. But sometimes when all of the information comes to hand, it might not just be what it originally seemed to be, and I'm not saying that's not the case with yours there now in Cavan. Like, we have put more staff into the area, into this section, and there's a number of different ways they can contact, and they can go into the intro office in Cavan from. There's one in Cavan there. It's open 5 days a week, 9 to 5. They can see a community welfare officer in there, and they can explain, obviously, the situation they find themselves in. And some of the work is being done at a central office, and that's helped to eradicate the backlog that we did have. There is no backlog now, so we've been working extremely hard and trying to get these numbers down, and because we want to help people. Like, that's what we're here for.
But actually, 2 weeks is too long. Now, 2 weeks for some payments might be sufficient, but for this case here, where it's a deposit or rent, it's an immediate payment that they need, because otherwise the tenancy is going to be gone because there's such demand. And I mean, I don't know why the system was changed, because there's an old saying, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Because, I mean, before this, you have somebody in the local authority, they knew the person locally who was working in the community welfare office, so a good relationship built up. They could contact them and say, look, we have an urgent case. You know, we have somebody who's fleeing a domestic violence situation, or someone that is homeless and needs a payment. And the payment was processed within in a day or two and resolved in that way. But that's not happening now. And then just as Deputy Bybard was saying earlier there, the community welfare officer I'm hearing is not available either. There was a time when they used to have scheduled clinics in different towns throughout the county and people could just drop in. That's not happening now from what I'm hearing on the ground as well. And that was a great system where people just go to them and there was the personal touch and the, as you said, the humane attitude. I mean, that could help resolve a lot of issues on the ground if that could be returned to.
Sure. There's a number of ways. I've explained them before. You can call into the social welfare, the intro office. You can pick up the phone and ring us. You can apply online. And if you need, a member of staff will go out to your house. And those are all the options. And as I said, it's working because the number of claims waiting to be processed is down. There's 2 weeks on hand and there's a two-week turnaround time. But if it's urgent, it's dealt with on the same day. It is genuinely, and in terms of domestic violence, I changed that, and we can provide rent supplement to people who are victims of domestic violence by way of referral from TUSLA and other designated organisations. And this referral, along with a completed rent supplement application form, will allow victims of domestic violence a fast-track approval and screening process with a simplified means test to access rent supplement for an initial 3-month period. So they can get that straight away for 3 months, and that was something that I was pleased that we were able to introduce, because that's a very difficult place for people to find themselves in. You know, it's an exceptional needs payment to cover a deposit and first month's rent can also be provided promptly to a person in this situation. So if you want to give me the specific details, I'll follow up on why it wasn't got immediately.